welcome. Today we are going to be talking about NotebookLM, which is an AI learning tool from Google. So what you need to know about NotebookLM is that it is an AI tool, as I said earlier, but it's different from ChatGPT and DeepSeek and Claude AI and the others. The difference is that with NotebookLM, you upload all your sources. It doesn't go through the internet to search for stuff for you, or it doesn't work off a database somewhere. It works with the sources you give it. So for example, if you have PDFs, if you have text somewhere that you've copied, if you have a specific website link, if you have a Google Doc, a Google Drive full of information, you can upload all that to NotebookLM, and NotebookLM will look through all that. And what it's going to do is that it's going to create a podcast. If you've listened to a podcast, you know that a podcast is a conversation between two or more people on a specific topic. So it's going to do that for your sources, which are the PDFs and the links you uploaded for it. So to access NotebookLM, the first thing you need to do is go to your web browser. It can be Google, it can be any web browser you choose, and then you search for NotebookLM. You click on it, and then it should be the first search result to appear. So you click on it. So from here, you follow all the prompts so you get to the NotebookLM homepage, which will be seen in a while. If this is your first time of accessing NotebookLM, you have to first make sure that you are signed into your Google account, and then you see this page. If you don't have any notebooks here already, you'll be asked to create a new one, which is exactly what we are going to do now, since this is our first time here. So upon clicking the Create Notebook button, you should be greeted with this web page, which has 3 panes, which is the sources pane, the chat pane, and the studio pane. So I'm going to go through these 3 panes briefly so that we get an overview of what all these 3 panes are supposed to be doing for us. So with the sources pane, what it does is that it keeps all your sources in one place. So anything you upload to NotebookLM will be kept here for this particular chat. Now in the chat section, this is where you can ask questions from your sources. So for example, if you've uploaded a few sources and you want to ask questions so you get answers based on those sources, you can ask those questions in this chat. Now to the studio pane, this is where you customize how your podcast is going to come out. This is where you add notes and other stuff. So let's go ahead and start adding sources to our notebook now. So I have 2 main sources I'm going to be using for this demonstration. I have a 300-page PDF document, and I also have copy text. So let's go ahead and add our PDF. So this is the one I'm going to add. Let's upload it. And then we are going to come back to this add source button, and then we click on copy text to. So I'm going to go here, copy my text, come back here, and then I'll paste it. When you're done pasting, you click on insert to upload your text. So now that all our sources are done uploading, you have noticed that NotebookLM has already gotten an idea of what our sources are about, which is Introduction to Business Management, and we have a brief summary here of what our document is about. So now in this chat tab, what you can do is that you can ask questions for you to get answers based on your sources. So these answers are not going to come from anywhere from the internet or anything. It's going to come from only the sources you've uploaded. So you can see that there are already a few questions which have already been put here for us to ask, and we are just going to choose one of them. And just like ChatGPT, we have an answer which is in text for us to read. So moving on to the studio tab, which is where most of our focus is going to be on for today's video, you see that we have the audio overview section, and you can see that this is a deep dive conversation. What you need to know is that the length of your podcast depends on the length of the sources you've uploaded. So if you have a 1,000-page document, the length of the podcast is not going to be the same as if you had a 20-page document. Also, you can customize how you want your podcast to be generated, which means that you can tell the AI hosts of the podcast to focus on some specific parts of the document you've uploaded. So for example, your document is 1,000 pages and you want to focus on only one topic in those 1,000 pages. You can do that here by clicking on the customize button, and then you tell it exactly what to focus on. So for this demonstration, I want our focus to be on effective business management and how it leads to business success. And after telling the AI what to focus on, you click on generate in order to generate your podcasts. Whilst our podcast is generating, let's talk about a few other things NotebookLM can do. So first of all, notes are one of the ways where we learn. It's one of the most important things we do whilst we are learning. So in Notebook LM, there are also ways to add notes to your podcast as you are listening to the podcast. So first is by using this add notes button. If you click on this add notes button, it's going to open a dialog box where you can write anything you want to write. You can even format your text. You can write your notes here. You can write anything you want. And when you're done, you close the tab and then it will save your notes over here. The next is creating a study guide. So if you don't know what to focus on for the podcast, you can click create a study guide. So this will go through all your sources and then it will pick all the important topics and concepts and put them in a structured format for you to be able to go through them whilst you are learning. Next is the FAQ feature. So this feature allows you to get frequently asked questions from your sources. So this means that Notebook LM will go through all your sources, all the information you've given it, and then to read and understand that these questions are likely to be asked. So it will create a few questions which may be asked in exams or tests or just in general, and then it will save them under your notes. The next is briefing doc. The briefing doc basically goes through all your sources and then it creates a summary, just like how we had in the chat here, but it's going to be longer than that. So the briefing doc basically does that. It will create a summary of your text, but this summary is supposed to let you to be able to understand what's actually going on in the text, not just an abstract summary. And one thing you should know is that the study guide, FAQ, and briefing doc are automatic. So once you click on them, they'll be generated automatically for you, unlike the add note button where you have to click and then you actually add your own notes here. So our podcast is done generating right now, and let's take a listen to see what it actually sounds like.
All right, ready to dive in. We're tackling effective business management today. That's secret sauce for success. We've got a whole stack of management theory books.
Okay, so first impressions, you can see that it already sounds like a podcast. It sounds genuinely like a podcast. If you've listened to a podcast before, you know that this is what a podcast sounds like. Let's jump to the middle and see what that also sounds like.
Real world story.
You might have people on your team who grew up with smartphones and others who are less comfortable with technology.
So you need to bridge that gap.
Okay, so we've noticed that this is a two-person podcast, a male and a female, who are actually discussing the topic of business management. One other thing I would like to inform you about is that there's an interactive mode. You can see it's still in the beta version, which means that it's not fully developed yet and it may have some problems. So basically, the interactive mode allows you to listen to this podcast like a Zoom call. So if you've been on a Zoom call before, you know that when a person is talking, you can raise your hand and then you ask a question and then your question gets answered. It's the same concept here. In the interactive mode, you click on the join button and then you can ask a question with your voice, and then the question gets answered in the podcasts as you are listening. So let's try the interactive mode and see if it actually works.
All right, ready to dive in? We're tackling effective business management today. That's secret sauce for success. We've got a whole stack of management theory books.
So here we just click on the join button as the audio is playing and then we ask our question.
Real world stories, even a bit about sustainability.
Oh wait, someone wants to join. Hey, go for it.
Okay, so I want you to tell me what business management is in simple terms. Just answer in I think a sentence.
Okay, so you want the super short version.
Right, a quick disposition of what business management is all about.
Well, think of it like this. It's how you get things done through people to reach your goals.
That's it in a nutshell, and we'll unpack that more as we go on.
Absolutely.
Okay, so our question was answered. I asked you to do one sentence and it did one sentence. So this is actually a good way to learn. You can ask questions just like speaking to your lecturer and then your question gets answered. But one thing you should notice is that, as I said before, this is still in the beta version. So it's not super refined, and this is not going to be a smooth experience. So there are some few things I want us to talk about, which is the fact that you can actually download the podcast. You don't have to come here every time to come and listen to the podcast. So if you want to listen to it offline, you just click on these three dots, you click on the download button, and then it will save it to your computer or your phone so that you can always listen to it offline. So I hope I covered everything today, and if you enjoyed this and you learned something, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in another video. Goodbye.